and I work for the Center for Human Development. I'm an outreach worker for mental health, and my affiliation with NEDA is I have a past experience with an eating disorder.
I'm Terry. I actually graduated from this high school a while ago. I'm a licensed vet tech. I also have been struggling with an eating disorder, and I was a past self-mutilator.
Alright, so I'm going to share my personal story with you. I'm actually very humbled to be here. It's also helping me as well as you in the healing process. My journey is anything but easy. I began restricting my food intake at about age 3, but unconsciously. I was always under the charts for height and weight. And my family tried to get me to eat at least something, because I'm a very picky eater. They would actually, my mom had a bowl of Big Bird on the bottom. And she would say, if you eat all your food, you get to see Big Bird. It didn't really work. I remember throwing my lunches out at school, pretending that I ate them. In high school, I was considered the skinny girl. I got a lot of attention for being smaller than all the other girls. And I first voiced that I had an eating disorder to my math teacher my freshman year. I would sit at the lunch table and watch my friends eat. I've always enjoyed watching other people eat and enjoy their food. Because if they're eating and I'm not, I feel better. We'll fast forward to my college career. My eating disorder really spun out of control through college. It took a turn for the worse in 2007 when my boyfriend at the time broke up with me. I couldn't eat anything for like 2 weeks. I stayed in bed, and I was involuntarily throwing up. This is when my eating disorder really began to take over. I first began therapy to work through core issues. In 2008, I decided that I needed an intervention. I set it up for me to go to Renfrew Center in Philadelphia, and to this day, my family claims that they didn't know about my eating disorder. I remember giving my mom the news about 3 weeks before I went to work on my fear of gaining weight. It'll tell you a little bit of the story. My mom was very mad that I was going, and I drove down to Philadelphia by myself. I had set up for me to stay with a host family the night before I was being admitted. It was an older couple. So I drove down to Philadelphia. I think I left around 5:30. I got there till about 10. And I was chatting with them, and the older man was very military style, and he said, you know, we need to go to bed, breakfast is at 6:30, I expect you to be up. So I went to bed, and their like 40-year-old son lived upstairs. And so I woke up, and he had like prepared this whole big breakfast for me, eggs, toast, the whole works. So I felt obligated to at least eat something because he went through all that trouble, even though he knew I was going to Renfrew for an eating disorder. So I was admitted that day at 8 a.m. And usually people go with family, and they do a family session. I didn't have anyone. I was by myself, and staff kept saying, well, do you have anybody here with you? I said, no, I'm by myself. So I told my family, obviously, and that was hard because eating disorders are all about secrets, and my eating disorder was mine and only mine. I spent 5 weeks at Renfrew, and there I gained weight. To this day, that is the highest weight I've ever been at. I worked in therapy to discover the core issues behind my eating disorder and began to start the grieving process. I was discharged from an intensive outpatient program, and then was discharged from that program for non-compliance. That happened a few times because I didn't want to give up my eating disorder. In 2009, my college decided I need to take a 4-week medical leave to go to treatment, otherwise I would not graduate. I completed that program, and I graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. I went straight into my graduate program of clinical mental health counseling, and it was really intense. The pressure was crazy. I was working full-time as well as school full-time, so I was getting about 3 hours of sleep a night. I'd wake up at 5:30, go to my internship from 7:30 to 3:30. At 4, I'd either go to work till midnight or go to class till 10. So by the time I got out from work, it was 1 a.m. Got home, was winding down, went to bed at 3, woke up at 5:30, and did it all again. So my eating disorder reared its ugly head at this time. I became frail and emaciated and was exhibiting all the physical complications of an eating disorder. My third semester in, the college said I needed to take a full semester medical leave, and I could not resume if I did not complete treatment. I did go to a treatment program in Connecticut. I returned to school spring semester of 2011 and went quickly back to my old habits of restricting. College yet again said I either need to withdraw by my own choosing or they would make me withdraw. I basically chose for myself to withdraw, and I haven't returned to college since then because my recovery is my #1 priority. I returned to an inpatient program at Renfrew actually this past July in 2011. I was at one of my lowest weights. I took an 8-week medical leave from my job and worked solely on my recovery. Because of my eating disorder, I've lost so much, but I've seen a glimpse of recovery many times, and it's beautiful. Recovery is about reclaiming my life. I want to be free of the bondage of self-loathing and hatred. My eating disorder told me lies after lies, that I only needed it, that losing weight would make me happy. It told me that I didn't deserve to take up space, so the anorexia, it's all about getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you basically don't exist. My eating disorder had become my best friend, my confidant. It is a best friend and enemy all in one. It's emotionally and physically draining. I'm more often than not misunderstood, judged, and even rejected because of it. People with eating disorders, including myself, would not wish this disease on my worst enemy. To this day, my recovery is my main priority. It is work every day, and I have my ups and downs. But recovery is not a linear process, and you can't get an A in recovery. And I'm a perfectionist, so that's really hard to deal with. I realized that my hopes and dreams and my eating disorder are not compatible. My self-esteem has truly blossomed throughout my recovery. I realized I am more than my eating disorder. It does not define who I am as a person. I have gained some trust back from my loved ones because I'm actually more honest than I have ever been. There is a life outside of counting calories, stepping onto a scale that is full of metal and screws, telling you that you're worthless. It is beautiful, exciting, and freeing. I'm sure that some of you here are struggling with an eating disorder, and I'll leave you with this. You're beautiful, worthy of a better life, and take it one day at a time. So, high speech.